This is Thank You Mama, weekly lessons from mothers all around the world. Hello and welcome to Thank You Mama. My name is Anna Tider. My guest is Janice Malone. Janice is a founder and CEO of Vivian's Door, which is a nonprofit which assists minority-owned entrepreneurs to implement their ideas and to grow their businesses. Janice herself is a serial entrepreneur with over 20 years of corporate leadership, and Vivian's Door recently won the AARP Purpose Prize. Janice, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am very, very excited to have you here on the show. Tell me, before we start talking about mom, I always ask my guests to tell me about themselves and their lives, their journeys, and their work. Would you tell me about you and how you started Vivian's Door?
I'm a serial entrepreneur, as you said earlier, formerly from corporate America. I spent over 25 years in corporate America, and then I went on to become an entrepreneur and started a marketing and print business, and I had a franchise, two of them actually. I sold off the franchise, the marketing business. I still have at a very small level, and the whole concept of Vivian's Door came to me in a dream. Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. How long ago did that happen?
It happened when I was in my early 60s, and as I said, the marketing business was really growing, but it wasn't growing at the point I thought it should. And so I just was having a whole lot of thoughts about, how do we help these businesses? And one night in a dream, literally a dream, the whole thing came to me with the name and everything. So
that is beautiful. But tell me,
that happened. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but now I'm so curious to learn more. How old were you when you left corporate to become an entrepreneur? Because that is a big and very courageous jump. Being in corporate and being your own boss and running your own business are very different things. It must have taken some courage. I'm curious to hear.
A whole lot of courage.
I know.
A whole lot of courage. Yeah. I was in my late 40s.
Okay.
And I had been working from home well before this whole concept today of working from home. I did this 25, 30 years ago. So I was working from home, and my company was going through a series of layoffs. They were really going through a lot. Every month there was a whole nother, it felt like a war zone in there where we were.
Okay.
There were, you never knew who was going to be next. And
yes.
I was off on some kind of medical leave for something. And when I came back to work, my job was cut to nothing. And so I just felt it was time to leave corporate America. I'd always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and it gave me the opportunity. The job was clipped and cut, and so me and the boss agreed it was time for me to go. And so I took that leave, got that severance pay, and started my first business.
In your late 40s, which is really, really amazing. I love hearing stories about women who make a change and start a new phase in life, at this second act in the, when we are not the youngest anymore. And that is so inspiring. Thank you for sharing that story. Did you have children, a family? Did you have people dependent on you?
Yes, I did.
You did?
I did. And I said it was my late 40s. It might have been even my early 50s. But I had I had a daughter and a son. But I had my husband.
Okay.
And he agreed to allow me to do this.
That's fantastic that you had his support.
Yeah, so when he agreed to allow me to do it, and I had the severance pay, and the job that I had worked for years wasn't what it should have been. The company was almost out of business, really. It was perfect timing.
So how did it go? How did you, being your own entrepreneur, it's challenging.
It was very challenging. First, I kind of started, this is funny, I had these vending machines, and I had one that kind of talked. It was called Oscar or whatever, and I placed it in a high traffic mall, and the thing was making $1,500 to $2,000 a month.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, it was. But it was requiring my husband to go be the mechanic on it all the time.
Okay.
It was getting so much use, right? And so I sold that, and then I found out about a job that was a consulting job, and I took that job. It was with a company called Business Network International. I took that job just because it was work from home, and you were a consultant, and you were kind of in your own business, independent contractor, and I took it. And within 2 years of doing that, it was good money as a consultant. But within 2 years of doing that, the owner of that franchise decided that he wanted, that business decided he wanted to franchise it. And that meant that I was going to be out of work again, right? But the owner offered the people who were working as consultants, he offered to give them the opportunity to buy buy the area that they were working in. And so there again, I was over at my husband begging for more money, right? With this idea that was working. So we ended up buying this franchise. And so then I really had to go to work.
Okay.
Because I had to make this thing work.
Yes. Yeah.
I had to make it perform. Otherwise, I just lost his money, and then I'd still be out of a job. So I got to work at building that franchise. I built that franchise up to about 400 people. And then the offer came in for me to buy the adjacent territory, which I did. And I built that operation to 1,400 members.
So you were managing 2,000 people?
Overnight. Yes, it wasn't overnight.
Okay.
But I built it up to that. And then again, it was a franchise. Owners decided to do what they decided to do. And so the owner, came in with a whole lot of things that they wanted us to do. And I just felt that the support wasn't what we needed. And so I sold out.
Oh, that's fantastic. And is this when the idea for Vivian's Door came?
Yeah, not quite.
No, there's more to the story.
Yeah, there's more to the story. I had this marketing and print operation that I had kind of glued around this whole franchise concept I was doing. And I kept that marketing, I ramped that up and really grew it. And then the print industry tanked, right? And so there I was again, floundering, not able to grow it in the way that I wanted. And so I just decided at that point that why couldn't I grow it, my thing, like a lot of the other young ladies and men who'd gone to school with me, why couldn't I grow it like them? And it was bothering me, really bothering me. So then I just decided at that point there had to be something else. And that's when I guess the power of the universe kind of came and this dream sort of happened, because I was really kind of at my lowest there, just thinking, what to do next? How do I take this print thing I've got and either grow it or do something else? And that dream came about this whole concept of Vivian's Door. I'd always wanted to train people how to be business owners. That I'd always wanted to do. And it provided me that opportunity. I questioned whether I should do it because of the historical significance of what the dream had revealed to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I marinated on it a little bit, talked it over with my husband and some other very close friends, and started to go to work on building it out. A nonprofit is just like any other business.
Yes.
You've got to build it.
When was this?
I was at that point, I was in my early 60s.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. So how long has it existed now?
We've completed our 5th year. We'll be going in April.
Fantastic.
We'll be in 6th year. Yeah.
And how many people do you have now at Vivian Store?
Okay, on staff, we have 5 full-time people and about 7 or 8 part-timers.
Okay.
And so we have about 2,500 supporters, a number of funders. We have some corporate funders, foundations, we have some government grants, and we service well over 500 businesses yearly.
That's fantastic. But tell me, Janice, is it just local in Alabama, or do you cover a wider geographic area?
Yeah, we physically on the ground, we serve South and Central Alabama, mostly in this Mobile County area. But lately, after winning this AARP thing, we've been doing remote support across the country.
Great.
And people have been asking us to start chapters in different areas.
That's
and
great.
I'm really marinating on that because I really want to get the structure 100% right.
Before you expand.
Exactly. Because, having been in the franchise business, I understand the power of duplication.
Yeah, absolutely. But tell me more about Vivian Store, what it does. But more than that, I really want to learn, and I want my listeners to learn the story about its name. I'm sure they're wondering about the name.
Okay, yeah, the name Vivian's Door, we used the inspiration of Vivian Malone Jones, who was remarkably the first Black graduate of the University of Alabama. Back in 1963, Governor Wallace, who was the governor of Alabama at that time, vowed segregation today, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. He's a very sort of black and white kind of person, and that's how he saw things. And segregation was at that time the law of the land. And Vivian, being a young Black woman, had wanted to get a degree in accounting. And she completed the local schools where she could get that degree from. And she needed to get her accounting degree from an accredited institution. And the institutions that she had gone to, like Alabama A&M and those schools, she couldn't get a degree in accounting accredited. And so she had applied to the University of Alabama. And of course, during that time, President John F. Kennedy and his brother, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, had been called to help the state of Alabama in this integration process. And so when she applied to the University of Alabama, she actually applied to a school that was here in Mobile, Alabama. It was a branch of what we know the famous institution, University of Alabama. And as soon as she applied and got accepted through federal mandate, she was forced to go to the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which was quite a distance from our home. And the time was really kind of, it was not a good time in America for, sort of racial strife and stuff. It was a very violent time. And just a few days, after she got accepted in that university and had to go, I believe Medgar Evers was killed in Mississippi. And it was just not a good time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of violence. So, but anyway, she got in. The federal marshals walked her through the door of Foster Auditorium there at the University of Alabama. She had to have federal coverage while she was there. So she went to school, and I'm sure it was not a pretty time. But there was a university called Stillman that was right down the street, and it was an all-black university. And that's where she met her husband at. And so that family at Stillman loved on her, which gave her a place that she could, have a normal sort of life as a university student. Even though she didn't go there, she found friends and all of that there. But there at the university where she was going, I'm sure that it was, she was sitting probably in classrooms by herself in many cases. But she persevered for 2 years and got that degree. She became the first Black graduate of the University of Alabama. Yeah, and at the time that she went, she wasn't the only one. It was another gentleman by the name of James Hood. He also went with her, but within a week he could not take any more. And so he withdrew. Yeah.
It's a great story, and I love it. I love it how it shows again how strong women are.
Yeah, she actually a remarkably strong woman. This could not have been easy for anyone.
This was surely not easy. And as I learned before we started our interview, she is your family in marriage.
Yes, exactly. My husband's first cousin, my husband's second cousin, rather. Her father and my husband's grandfather were brothers.
What a fantastic story. It's so beautiful that you named your company after her.
Yeah, and it's funny because in that dream, that name was revealed to me.
That's really amazing. But
it was remarkable.
And it's perfect. It couldn't be other way.
It was perfect. Yeah, I could just envision these businesses walking through a door of opportunity.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That she held open.
That she held open.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
But Janice, let's talk about mothers, because we are here to talk about mothers. And I'm very, very curious and looking forward to learn about your mom, Pearle. Will you tell me a little bit about her?
Yeah, my mother she was a homebody. She was a very nurturing type mother, loved to cook. And so I most remember my mom for cooking because I spent a lot of days in the kitchen with her. That good food. And my father, he loved the land. And so he would grow all kinds of fruits and vegetables and stuff that she would then take and cook in that kitchen, right?
How many children did she have, Janice?
Oh, now that's a good one. My mom had 12 pregnancies.
Oh, okay.
And from those pregnancies, there were 2 sets of twins. So she actually ended up with, I think she had 13 pregnancies because there were 15 kids. Good Catholic mom, yes.
That is many, many kids.
Yes.
Again, I'm coming back to how strong women are. We forget that because that we're not doing this anymore. Now we have 1, 2, 3 maximum.
Yeah.
And it's incredible where you hear about these women who it was normal back then to have 9, 10, 11.
Yes.
And female body can do this. It can do this. And that's...
I would always say to her, Mom, I'm not sure how this happened, but I can never be the woman you were.
But did you become a woman she was?
Yeah, in some senses I did, but in terms of having those kids, it was a lot of work for us to have just the 2 kids that we had.
Yes.
It wasn't easy for me, giving birth to a child. And I was, after my first kid, my daughter became diabetic. And so it's not easy for me. My mom, lucky enough, she was she was able to have those babies.
Yeah, but also the times were different. The times, the attitudes were different. The time was different. What was expected from a woman was different. She didn't go into corporate, I'm guessing, with her 15 children, and you did.
No.
You created your businesses and your success. So it's different. We can't compare apples and pears. Yeah. So she was at home taking care of her 15 babies and her husband, cooking. What was your favorite dish of hers?
My mom used to make like a peach cobbler that I love.
That sounds amazing. Yes. I love cobblers.
That was my favorite dessert. And then she would cook collard greens. These are a type of greens that we in the South grow a lot of. And she would cook those collard greens. And even as a little girl, I love them. And creamed corn. This is corn off the cob that she would somehow make into some kind of a creamy mixture. And I just love those that creamy corn. And I could taste those collard greens. Her fried chicken was amazing.
Oh, that all sounds amazing. Now I'm hungry. Janice, how long did she get to live?
My mom lived until she was 70. She was like 73, 74 when she passed.
Yeah. Was she healthy? Did she have a good older age?
As she got older, she had trouble with her heart. Oh. And that's what took her out of here. Yeah. Oh. She had to have an open heart surgery. And so she had some difficulties with her heart and her blood pressure. And so she just couldn't get that right.
Yeah. Let's learn from her.
Okay. She taught me to find solace in cooking. Even today, I use cooking as a way of self-care and sort of to relieve my stress. I'll get in the kitchen and I'll just cook like loads of food and just love, and I'll invite everybody I know to come and eat. Right? Yeah. And that gives me a lot of solace when I can cook and not eat out, because, doing the work I do, sometimes you're long hours and you're out and you're eating all this other people prepared food and you don't really know what's in it half the time. But when I cook, I know what's in the food that I cook. And so I feel like I'm eating really healthy. She also taught me, she was a very religious woman too. She taught me to lean on faith. Sometimes there would be rough situations that would come along and she would always say, just lean on faith and God will make a way. God will take us through this, right? And even today, when things aren't quite going right, even in the nonprofit, I'll say, I've just got to lean on faith. God put me here, and He's just not going to leave me out here like this. And every time, amazingly, things get all straightened out, and even better than what they were before the issues come along. And that sort of lean on faith, and God can make a way when there is no way. Those are two things that I live by.
So having trust, it's having trust that there is a bigger force that's here to protect us and support us and guide us.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
One other thing she taught me was that cleanliness is next to godliness. I mean, every year, especially this time of the year, New Year, Christmas, we had to clean everything. We had to clean everything. There was nothing. I mean, we had to clean out the closets. We had to clean the house from top to bottom.
Fantastic. We in Croatia, we do this in spring. We have these big spring cleanses before, like at the end of the winter, before the spring comes. And it's also very ingrained into us, this feeling of everything has to be clean for the new start. I do that as well. Do you find it healing in a way? Like,
yes, I do.
I do
Like
too.
once I get it, everything it's like everything's now pure, and it
Exactly.
just feels like so touchable, and I mean I can just smell the air. It just seems to smell different, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I know I'm living through my mom at that. I'm like, I know I'm living through my mom because all this cleanliness and stuff. I didn't teach my kids all of that because I'll go, they clean, but not like we clean. So.
But it's interesting. Would you declutter as well? Like get rid of things that are necessary? And because that's important for me, for instance, that really, when I declutter my home and my space and my closets and my desk and everything, I feel like I cleaned my head. I can start anew. I can
Yes,
start a new
yes, yes,
project.
yes. Yes, yes. It is so funny. I'm at conflict with myself sometimes, though, because I love to collect things. I got that from my father, right?
Okay.
So anyone who collects anything, know that they create a situation of chaos. Things are all over because you're saving way too much after a while, right? Then my mother's side comes in and is like, if you wanted anything, you didn't put it in my mom's way because she clean it out for you, right?
That sounds like me and my husband. I'm throwing things away and he's collecting and he's like, don't throw this away. Don't throw it.
My husband was in the service, so we always had to pack up and move to another place because
yeah.
you get a new assignment. And so I was always sort of decluttering. But in this last half of my life, we've not moved. And so I think sometimes moving helps you with that
It
whole
does. It
decluttering.
does. It
I'm like, I
forces
feel
you.
like I just need to. Yeah, I feel like I just need to get another house to move in. So I guess.
Janice, do you have other things that you feel you've learned from her? Are there any other lessons you'd like to mention?
Yeah, one thing I learned from her is that sometimes you need to be patient.
Oh, that's
And
important.
things, yeah. There was one thing that she would say, and I don't know whether it was her, my dad, or whatever, but it was like, this too shall pass. So, you're sitting in the moment, and the picture of where you are isn't perfect. And so regardless of whatever it is, it's like you'll say this too shall pass. And so I find myself, and I hear my kids now saying that, like, this will pass, right? And so I know they've heard me through my mom say, this too shall pass, kind of thing, because what you see today is simply in the moment. Life is in the moment, and it has a way of reshaping itself just like that. I mean, that whole picture can change. And so I'll say that this too shall pass. Just keep going. Let's keep doing what we're doing. This will pass. And, remarkably, you'll wake up or things will just happen. Yeah. And the picture changed. It just it's not what it was. I even say that about where I'm at now. When I was just thinking about Vivian's door, it was just something that came in a dream. And then I was writing it out on paper and trying to shape it. And then today, there are these people's lives I'm affecting, and they're coming to me to make changes in their lives, their businesses. And I'm like, sometimes it's so unbelievable that here I am. This is real. This has happened.
That's beautiful. You made it happen.
Yeah. I was a part of it. Sometimes we have to know. She would always say, too, that, you're an instrument. God's working through you. And so, yeah.
Yeah, we are. But we have to be open to that, I think
you have to be open.
You have to be open to that and allow it, because I think if you're not, then that's a lost cause. Then God can't do anything. You have to be ready to receive and ready to channel, I think.
Absolutely. I just see so many things. I look around, like this year alone, things we've never asked for are just falling in our lap. all over the place. We here at Vivian store, we've got this mobile training unit now that we can take out in the field and train people. We've got these farmers that we're helping to build their businesses of their farms better and kind of things. I'm like, how did I get myself into? How did this thing shape itself like this? And you're right. You have to be open to allowing, God to work through you to do the things that kind of needed to be done.
But Janice, do you think it's also magic happens when you help others? I have a feeling a special magic happens because you set off to help other people and to pass on what you've learned and your experiences and your tools. And I really think, and I hear so often people say that the moment you start working in service of others, even bigger magic happens.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that whole, giver's gain concept.
Yes. But let's go back to Mama Pearle. I always like asking my guests, and it became one of the most important parts of the interview. Was there something important she was not able to teach you, something you had to learn yourself?
There are many things I had to learn myself.
Tell me about it.
I'm like, why did you leave me? Right? There were many things I had to learn myself. She wasn't around when I myself, aged. And so there were things that I wish she could have relayed to me about that whole process of aging.
Yes.
I wish there were things that she could have helped me with. We didn't have her for the kids, as they grew up. That holiday, everybody would go to my mom's house. They called her Big Mama or whatever. Everybody would go to her house for the holidays. And when we didn't have her, people didn't even know where to go. No. And so, consequently, we had to reach, we're in the process now of reshaping the family such that they come together for the holidays, because when she left, that whole sort of she had kind of woven together where people would, she didn't invite them. Everybody just descended. They just came to be around her and all that good cooking and all of that. And so when she passed away, it was like they had nowhere to go. It was an empty house. That good food wasn't coming out of it. Mama wasn't there. And and my kids didn't get to grow up with any of that. So I guess that's why, in a way, I just kind of took on that whole cooking scenario and bringing people together. So the family surrounds themselves around a lot of what I do now. So, which I'm happy for, but I'm like, I've become my mom.
But don't we all? No matter.
I wake up in the morning, and so I'll look at my hands, and I'm like, I'm becoming my mom.
I know. That happens to me so often. I hear my voice sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, is this her speaking? Or I see myself on some moments in the mirror. I'm like, oh, my mom is looking at me. It's funny.
Yes.
But it's also funny when these are things we try to avoid, when you're trying to consciously not become your mom in certain aspects, and then you realize with all this, it still happens.
Me and my mom had this sort of thing whereby I didn't really want to be her, right? I learned a lot but I didn't want to be her. I wanted to be me. Right? And so, as I've aged, I've really become her in more ways than one. Yes.
Oh, Janice, this was so beautiful. We learned so much. Do you have anything else you'd like to add about her before we recap?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that, moms are really not with us in life as long. Life is very short, and they're not with us as long as I think they need to be. And so I just wish that life would provide, the opportunity for mothers to be with you longer. There's just so much that a mother can sort of provide, from information to just being there.
Just being there,
That,
yes.
yeah. That it just makes your life so calming and so much better.
Being someone's daughter, being your mom's daughter.
So
we miss them.
And my daughter always says to me, "Mom, I just hope you're around for me." So I just hope, because like I said, my mom was in her early 70s.
Yeah, she was
like
young.
73. Yeah, when she passed.
Yeah, I know. I lost my mom when she was 69, and that was way too early. Way too early.
Yeah.
We have to take good care of ourselves for the sake of our children.
That's what I say. I learned that you have to take care of your body. You have to take care of yourself. I go to the gym twice a week. I have my personal training session with my personal trainer, and he tells me things I need to eat, things I shouldn't eat. And almost being diabetic to me is a blessing, because there are things that I can't eat. And so it helps me in that diet routine a lot.
Yeah, because you can't. Yeah.
Because I can't.
You just can't.
And so I just, want to make sure that I'm eating right. I'm taking care of myself. I'm getting enough exercise, enough sleep. I'm trying not to, make myself so stressed that I can't carry on the work I need to do, because the work that we need to do here at Vivian's Door is hard work, and you need to be up for it, both mentally and physically.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you are doing this for the sake of Vivian's Door, but also for your daughters.
Yes, for my daughter. Yeah.
Janice, thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful conversation. Please help me before we end. Let's just quickly recap. I want to go back to Mama Pearle's lessons and just recap what we talked about. We talked about finding solace in cooking and how cooking can be an art of stress relief and self-care. But you also said she brought people together through her cooking. I love that aspect of cooking.
Yes.
Leaning on faith and trusting that God will make a way where maybe you think there is no way. Having this trust is so important. We talked about cleanliness, which I love, and decluttering, and how important it is to stay clean and to declutter, because it helps to declutter your head as well. Have patience. And when things are hard or not the way you imagine them, always remember that this too shall pass. And I love how you said that life has a way of reshaping itself, and what is now is just now, and it changes, and things happen. And we talked about, I don't know what if it was part of a lesson, but I wrote down that you're an instrument, and you should open yourself up to allowing the God to work through you.
Yes, we talked about that.
We talked about that, and then we mentioned about the magic that happens when you help others and serve others. And then we talked about important things she was not able to teach you. And I love it how you mentioned aging, because I think that's generally something mothers don't talk to their daughters about. And I wish my mom talked to me more about it. I wish I could ask her about menopause, for instance, and her experience with it. And to take care of yourself for the sake of others, for the sake of people we love. I think that was it, wasn't it?
That was it. That was it. That was a lot.
That was a lot. And it was beautiful and very inspiring. Janice, thank you so much. And I'm wishing you all the best still with Janice's door. Vivian, oh, look, now I renamed your company. Vivian's door.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for being the person you are. You have been an amazing host. You made it so easy. I was nervous coming into this, and I just felt right at home. So.
Oh, thank you for saying that. And thank you for sharing so much inspiration.
You're welcome, and thank you.
If you enjoy Thank You Mama and want to help it grow, please take the 2 seconds to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps. If you'd like to get in touch, you can send me a mail at info@thankyouMama.net. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under Anna Teider, that's Tajder. This was Thank You Mama. Come back next week, subscribe, and tell your friends.